Have you ever considered that maybe what we observe can change reality? It's kind of a weird thought, but when you think about what happened in Matthew 13:53 through 58, it says, "When he come into his own country, he taught them in their synagogue, so that they were astonished and said, 'Where did this man get this wisdom and these mighty works? Is this not the carpenter's son?' So they were offended at him. But Jesus said to them, 'Now he did not do many mighty works there because of their unbelief.'" So, of course, Jesus tells them that a prophet is not welcomed in his own country, and he did not do many mighty works there because of their unbelief. How strange. Well, it's interesting that quantum physics has discovered that the observer changes the reality, and the now famous double slit experiment. In this double slit experiment, this is here on douglashamp.com, by the way, but it's Thomas Young's double slit experiment. He allows a wave to go through a single, and of course it creates a wave, but then when it goes through a double slit, then it creates, of course, two waves, and then we have what's called an interference pattern. And then those interference patterns end up here on a screen so that they can be measured, and they can see that it looks like a wave. And yet, now they've discovered that when they send a single electron through, when they don't look at it, when they don't observe it, what is left on that screen is the evidence of a wave. And yet, when they observe it going through, it looks like a particle. How can that be? Well, think again about what happened to Jesus. He could not do many miracles there, but how strange. Jesus, the King of the universe, creator of heaven and earth, didn't do many miracles in Nazareth because of their unbelief. How can that be? So an understanding of quantum physics might shed some light on this phenomenon, namely that reality alters based on observation. Researchers discovered that particles behave differently when they are being observed. This is demonstrated in the double.
How particles, or little balls of matter, act. If we randomly shoot a small object, say a marble, at the screen, we see a pattern on the back wall where they went through the slit and hit. Now, if we add a second slit, we would expect to see a second band duplicated to the right.
So I encourage you to go and look at that video yourself there on YouTube. But the double slit experiment proves that matter, which consists of particles and waves, which God created, of course, behave differently when it's being observed. That means that the observer's presence literally changes the outcome of the experiment. Could it be that Jesus did not perform many miracles in Nazareth because the observers were not willing to see it? That seems to be the case, and was why Jesus cautioned the disciples about the leaven of the Pharisees. Then Jesus said to them, "Take heed and beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and the Sadducees." And they reasoned among themselves, saying, "Is it because we have taken no bread?" But Jesus, being aware of it, said to them, "O you of little faith, why do you reason among yourselves? Because you have brought no bread. Do you not yet understand, or remember the 5 loaves, or the 5,000, how many baskets you took up? Nor the 7 loaves, or the 4,000, and how many large baskets you took up? How is it you do not understand that I did not speak to you concerning bread, but to beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and the Sadducees?" Then they understood that Jesus did not tell them to beware of the leaven of bread, but of the doctrine of the Pharisees and the Sadducees. So the leaven of the Pharisees was a refusal to believe despite lots of evidence to believe. The Pharisees were just like their ancestors in the wilderness of Sinai, who had seen miracle after miracle as God led them out of Egypt, and yet they still refused to believe. The Pharisees had seen and or heard of numerous miracles that Jesus had performed, and yet they were not willing to believe. As a result, they did not see. Again and again, we see Jesus saying that a person's faith, their perception or belief, is what heals them. That is, what the person observes or perceives or believes to be reality actually becomes their reality. Pretty crazy stuff when you think about it. And yet, we see this in so many scriptures. Matthew 9:22 through 29. But Jesus turned around, and when he saw her, he said, "Be of good cheer, daughter. Your faith has made you well." And when he had come into the house, the blind men came to him, and Jesus said to them, "Do you believe that I am able to do this?" They said to him, "Yes, Lord." Then he touched their eyes, saying, "According to your faith, let it be to you." Matthew 15:28. Then Jesus answered and said to her, "O woman, great is your faith. Let it be to you as you desire." And her daughter was healed from that very hour. Matthew 17:20. So Jesus said to them, "Because of your unbelief, for assuredly I say to you, if you have faith as a mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, 'Move from here to there,' and it will move, and nothing will be impossible for you." Or take this one, Matthew 21:21 and 22. So Jesus answered and said to them, "Assuredly I say to you, if you have faith and do not doubt, you will not only do what was done to the fig tree, but also if you say to this mountain, 'Be removed and be cast into the sea,' it will be done. And whatever things you ask in prayer believing, you will receive." Thus perhaps Jesus did not perform many miracles in Nazareth because the observers didn't believe or perceive that he would or could do anything. They didn't see because they didn't believe. Still, shouldn't Jesus be able to do miracles regardless of their mental or spiritual condition? The answer appears to lie in the fact that God created us in his image and in his likeness. God spoke the worlds into existence and all therein, but when he made man, he made us a little bit different. He made us with a little bit of the divine nature in us. It appears that because we are in God's image and likeness, God actually needs our cooperation to do positive things in our lives. Now, don't misunderstand. God will ultimately accomplish his will regardless of our doings. Nevertheless, when he wants to do a good work in our life, he needs our cooperation for blessings to occur. We cooperate by believing, and believing is proven through obedience, as demonstrated in the book of Hebrews. And to whom did he swear that they would not enter his rest, but to those who did not obey? So we see that they could not enter in because of unbelief. For indeed the gospel was preached to us as well as to them. But the word which they heard did not profit them, not being mixed with faith in those who heard it. Hebrews 3:18, 19, and 4:2. Think about how Peter was walking on the water with great success. He could do so because he believed without doubting that he could actually do it. Once he began to doubt in what he was actually doing, he lost it and immediately began to sink. And then Jesus chastised him with, "You of little faith," and then questioned him, "Why did you doubt?" Matthew 14:31. Could it be that our thoughts and perceptions, belief about the world, and our situation in some way determines the outcome? Could we really move mountains if we didn't doubt? However, that must be the case based on the Word and even on observed science. If we believe without doubting, amazing things are possible. Chances are that many of us suffer from a bad case of the leaven of the Pharisees. We read all about what God and Jesus has and have done, and we believe it intellectually, but we do not believe practically. That is, with our actions. We say that this is what he did back then, but not today. That is what he did for them, but not for me. So join me in prayer that we could be cured of the leaven of the Pharisees and the Nazarenes. Let's believe, and then we will see. Let's renew our minds because the kingdom of God is far closer and more accessible than any of us has ever imagined. Take care and God bless.